The NFL put a quarter in, and the coaching carousel is turning, spinning. No coordinators left in Washington. Who's going to get the next head coaching job? Moments after we just press record, news announced Kevin Stefanski, the next interview up for the New York Giants to fill that spot. And not to mention, playoffs this weekend. It's super wild card weekend, 7 seeds through 2 seeds going at it. But right now, it's Martin and Monaco. Alex, Kevin
Let's go.
Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski to New York, possibly? The news just
I
broke
don't
moments ago. The interview is happening.
I don't hate him, Martin. I really don't. I didn't like Stefanski with Shadur as we were all the way back to the Martin and Monaco show with Ian over the summer on Fox Sports Saturday nights about because Stefanski, what was it? It wasn't his guy. Was it a Barry initiative? Was it coming from the ownership? How that whole thing went. It's always drama when you go two quarterbacks in the same draft class, all the way back to RG3 and Cousins. I digress. When it comes to Stefanski in this instance, though, look, he's a quarterback coach upper whisperer, if you will. We know he works with a number of guys. Is he have the emotional intelligence to work with a guy like Dart in addition to the X's and O's with him? I'm going to lean yes more than no. Looking at the board, though, there is a few options. I just don't hate the idea of Stefanski coming in, knowing that they doubled down, if you will, on what they saw work, particularly in the last few weeks. This dude is a player. Go get him an offensive guy rather than try to get cute. Maybe go Shula, maybe go someone else defensively, even a Vance Joseph, if you will. You go what you know, which is Scattaboo, Neighbors, Dart. Coach them up. What say you?
I am not sure by any stretch of the imagination. I put it like this. Maybe I just err on the side of skepticism with this. I just wonder if Kevin Stefanski is the candidate that everybody makes him out to be at this moment. I watched him coach for 6 years. I understand the coach of the years, but I saw it all. And I understand like all of the different hangups, sure, ownership, this, that, the third. I understand. Cleveland is a tough place to win. Not many people do it. In fact, after you leave there, it's almost like leaving the Jets. Like things just become better. Like you lose weight. The sun shines brighter, right? Your teeth are whiter and your breath smells better because you're just in a different environment. And that may be true for Kevin Stefanski as well. But I need to see it. The idea that he's like the clear cut number one candidate in this
I
cycle
don't
is
think
one
he's
that's kind
number
of
one.
crazy
Let me
to me.
say that. I don't think he's number one, Martin. I don't. It's fickle because they are dysfunctional. It's not Jets dysfunction, but they are dysfunctional. They go Shane. It's a diss to the fandom in a different way that keeping Aaron Glenn is. I'm in town. I'm trying to weather the storm on a quick lap around work. Who's more upset? Giants Nation about Shane, Jets Nation about Glenn. All that to say, you know what you get with Stefanski. The question mark would be not whether or not he can call plays for this dude. Can they move the rock? I think we would be in agreement that they could do that. It's can he be the leadership? Can he handle the New York media? Can he handle really what a head coach needs to do, particularly in the NFC East, where there's a lot of noise and a lot of distractions?
The noise and distractions part is not one that concerns me the most, especially when you consider that Stefanski was the battle for his backup quarterback spot was the story of the summer, and he's in Cleveland last like this whole summer and this whole season. Really, was the biggest hell. That was the second biggest story in the AFC North. Besides, is one of the coaches going to get fired? But I'd say, with that, you talk about Dart, you talk about Neighbors, you talk about Scatterboo, and let's see, with Kayvon Thibodeau, I believe is on an option, Brian Burns, all of that. With the Giants, when you look around at the landscape, we're not sure. And maybe Kevin Stefanski is the number one candidate, which is more of an indictment on the candidates than it is on everything. But do you think the Giants are the number one availability?
It's a good question. I mean, that would be a longer conversation about, do you think Mendoza's a guy you can build around with the Brady new leadership? He's supposedly to have more of a sleeves up rule involvement with the Raiders new where they go with coach, etc. I don't know. I mean, I'm of the belief the Giants, who if I'm not mistaken, Ian can double check if we need it, have a better point differential than the Panthers, and the Panthers are playing this wild card Saturday. So they're right there. It's an appetizing role in the sense that there's clearly talent. What they don't have is direction. Like a Mike Vrabel would come in, Martin, and turn this team
Sure.
around in one season like he did. But there's not a Mike Vrabel, a Ben Johnson this year around. Just like the same situation with quarterback in this draft class. So that's why Stefanski, everyone's like, ooh la la. But if Harbaugh goes tomorrow, Harbaugh should jump to number one. The Giants, on some level, should be patient. I'm nervous they're going to be too excited, maybe, and pounce on someone now that we're talking it out, like a Stefanski, that, again, could be a great coordinator. He'd be an A coordinator for Dart. Maybe he's a B minus, B at best leader for this team. They need a really big voice. He's not a voice. You barely hear him talk as is.
For me, I think the number one job that I'd be lining up for, I want Atlanta. Atlanta already has Bijan Robinson. I get the quarterback situation is a little murky, but I've got James Pierce is an animal. The other first rounder they got is another. And they had, I think, two double-digit sack guys on their defensive line. Another guy was 6.5. Kyle Pitts is whatever, but Bijan Robinson might be the best running back in football. The offensive line is okay. Most importantly, my division was just won by 8-9 Carolina. Tampa looks like it's on the downswing. And maybe New Orleans has a guy with Tyler Shuck, or maybe that was just like the NBA in March. Things get weird late game down the stretch, right? But if I'm looking at this division, NFC South is wide open. I would want Atlanta, and I mean Atlanta won 8 games on accident this year, basically.
I like it. I think that the dysfunction of Atlanta, like, they're again a team that you're sitting there, and our producer Ian is a Jets fan, like, and you're going, we just need to beat the Jets, who I think moved to 3-9 at the time, and we'd be in the NFC South playoffs. Like, that is a job that I think if you're a quality hire and you have options, doesn't stick out because of dysfunction. Again, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. If we're playing old school NBA 3-on-3 arcade, that's top tier for a plug and play for a coach to come in. I mean, again, they get so much right. They get in their way of themselves in so many different ways. They're like the Vikings-esque when it comes to that. They just can't get it all together. I mean, Raheem Morris, again, is a quality coach that may end up having to go back to DC land to get another shot at doing this thing as a head coach again because of the dysfunction of Atlanta. And I don't think he's a bad coach. I think they're just dysfunctional. I mean, it's almost asinine to think if Cousins started the year, would they have won a game more? I'll say yes, because I think Kirk Cousins to the Jets, they win 8-9 games next year. But in all seriousness, I still think the Giants is the most appetizing option.
So I think the game that got Raheem Morris fired was probably the Rams game in which they came back and lost, right? They had a big lead, and then Stafford and them came back and ended up winning that game, kicking the pick that the Falcons owe the Rams later on down the line. And it was a 21-0 before Atlanta stormed back in that one. I think that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for Atlanta. But I find it fascinating because that's the Rams, who now will play the NFC South champion Panthers. Well, I'll remind you, Matthew Stafford was a shoo-in for the MVP at that point. Ends up throwing 3 interceptions against Carolina's backup defensive backs and starts to come back to earth a little bit, ultimately costing the Rams the 1 seed. When you really think about it, that's why they're playing this game. Rams are 10-point favorites thereabouts. Who do you have in this one? What's your most interesting storyline? 2 number one overall picks at quarterback.
The storyline, Martin, is if this box score can repeat again from just a month ago, which I believe off the top of my head was 31-28, in a game
Mm-hmm.
where I vividly remember Stafford had 2 picks and a fumble, and the Panthers did turn the rock over. And I remember that game because I think DA had a couple of catches, and they were like, he had like 2 touchdowns and like 4 catches total in the game. It was just lobbing it up twice in that game. But all that to say, 10-point line, 10.5-point line, huge respect to a Rams team that offensively has not been healthy in the last couple of weeks. I take the 10.5 as a home playoffs a disrespectful line with my eyes closed. The question of who wins this game, we're talking on a Tuesday. I need a couple of sleeps to fully get there. I still see a world where the Panthers could sleep this team. It's a question of, does this Rams team, Martin, let's talk it out for a second, have what it takes? Banged up offensive line. DA comes in his 30s with a hurt hamstring. Do they have the wherewithal when now they're on the road, not in the dome, with weather, with an older quarterback, with not their full regime, to go into a hostile environment where the crowd is a real thing? Give Carolina some respect here. Great home court. They're going to be nuts. They haven't had a host a playoff game since when? Cam and early McCaffrey, I have to go back. So, ruckus environment, I take the points, no brainer. I'm still sleeping on a couple of Panther sleeps. I'll lean Rams right now, but by the time Saturday comes, I may push a Panthers money line ticket.
I'm all over 10.5. To me, that's a layup in a game in which was a field goal game, like you said, a month ago. But the thing that gets me really there, I don't have the exact numbers, but it's maybe more of a feel thing, but it showed me something when the Rams played that Falcons. Matthew Stafford generally does not play his best against guys he used to practice against, like Raheem Morris and Giro in Carolina. I forget, can't pronounce the defensive coordinator in Giro. He used to work in Los Angeles. And that's the thing that shows me. It's like you might know some of Stafford's tricks once you practice with him every single day. 10.5 is the ultimate those guys get paid two line, right? The other everybody else is a pro here. And I expect that Carolina is going to come after a game in which in the rain they only ran for like 20 something yards, literally. We'll be able to run the ball more effectively on the Rams, keeping it tight. I still pick the Rams to win. I don't know if I need enough sleep to be able to pick Carolina to pick this upset. However, I will say this. This upset, it would this is the type of thing that happens in this league, right? This is a team that should have been the 1 seed, wasn't the 1 seed, and as a result, they lose in a game they have no business being in. That's what happens in this league. Speaking of, I was about to say, speaking of a team that probably should have been the 1 seed as we are sitting through this AFC playoffs with no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, and no Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills somehow find themselves at 6 as an underdog going into Jacksonville, who, mind you, with first-year head coach Liam Cohen, fifth-year, sixth-year quarterback Trevor Lawrence, they look like a new pairing, especially after the trade deadline, getting Jacoby Myers. It got to a bumpy start in Jacksonville, got nothing from Travis Hunter, doesn't matter. 3 seed, been one of the better teams in football, especially in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Where do you land?
This is a fascinating matchup, Martin, because there's a lot of storylines. And I talk about a game that is tough to pick on a Tuesday when Vegas is telling you it's a coin flip, really 1.5 point line, however you look at it, based off opening and where we are now. And the storyline that I want to talk out is, can Josh Allen, and does it behoove him even to put the cape on and try to beat this team? Or does he find a way to get into a new gear, a gear that's almost point guard esque? Okay, Kincaid's not right. I'll find a way to coach up Knox. Shakir's been maybe I'll go to another asset, like even a Keelan Coleman if I have to, or a old school Gabe Davis if I must. Ray Davis, whoever, Johnson, whoever he has to go to figure out a way to win. What best is it? Because on paper, Jags have the stifling run D. They have the better defense. They're a top 5 turnover differential team. They have a seemingly Trevor Lawrence 2.0. And if we're sitting here doing blind resume, Liam Cohen is outcoached without question Sean McDermott. And they have home court. Why would you fade Jacksonville? It just becomes the narrative of no Burrow, no Lamar, no Mahomes. What say you, Mr. Weiss? Is it the Superman Allen run and it starts in Jacksonville?
That's the thing. the This is the tough part about the narrative of all of this, right? Because and a real tough part because Josh Allen has won a lot of narrative awards. Like last year, I'm not saying he had a bad year. Of course, he had a great year. He was the MVP. Lamar Jackson was first team All Pro, right? That to me shows you is like there's a lot of narrative sometimes when it comes to Josh, right? Some of his biggest wins are losses when you really think about it, close losses. There's no excuses anymore. Losing to Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, losing to Joe Burrow, losing to Lamar Jackson, those are explanations, right? All of those guys, well, maybe not Burrow right now, but those other two are Hall of Famers, right? Josh Allen will likely be one himself, right? But Lamar, two MVPs, going to the Hall of Fame. Patrick Mahomes going to the Hall of Fame, right? Those are explanations. You lose to Trevor Lawrence, you lose to Bo Nix, those are excuses. And here's the biggest issue with it all. This Bills team is not nearly as good as the Bills teams that have been there in the past, right? Like I think Jacksonville's a more complete team than Buffalo. I think Denver is more complete team than Buffalo. Yeah, I'd say, and probably even the Patriots are a more complete team than Buffalo. However, Buffalo's the only one of those four teams that I just mentioned that's got Superman. So it's like it's going to be on him.
So who do you got?
Jacksonville. Although I will say this,
Wow.
I have Jacksonville, but I would not be the same way. I picked the Rams to win, but would not be surprised to see I don't know, 17-13 Panthers win. I'm picking Jacksonville to win. Would not be surprised to see a 6 touchdown performance from Josh Allen. And as a result, they win that game. You see what I'm saying? That's the way I kind of see it playing out. Either
I
Josh will be superhuman or Jacksonville will win.
so I have Buffalo before we move on, and I see a world, not to get too ahead of it, where they go to. We remember Bo Nix went to in his playoff debut. Buffalo didn't end very well. I could see Buffalo beating Denver, no question, and Buffalo's in the AFC Championship in New England for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. That's how I'm starting to get there, my friend. If you want to weigh in before we move on to the next game.
Well, the next game we'd have to move on to from there would be New England and Los Angeles. So you assume that New England is beating the beat up Chargers.
My recovering team, former San Diego Charger diehard here, know it again, seen it, same result, gentlemen. New year, Chargers will Charger. No fault to them. The trenches here doesn't look great. They have how many different rotating offensive lines they've rolled out. It's a testament to the head coach and quarterback duo of Harbaugh and Herbert, who I absolutely love. They're just gonna get, I'm sorry, outdogged, outcoached slightly, and outmanned on the road. SoCal team going to New England. I've seen it in a number of different Chargers Patriots history scenarios. No different here. The 3.5 Spickle, I feel better about the under if I were to give out a play here. I guess if you're asking me what side, I'd go New England, but I got New England moving on, my man.
I do too. The Chargers are just too beat up. They're just too beat up, and I don't see them being able to hang 4 quarters. I expect it to be close at the half, and then New England to come out after halftime and really just kind of pull away. We've seen New England beat the hell out of bad teams this year. Chargers obviously not a bad team, but they're so injured. They're not a good team right now, so I can't really go any further than
How
that.
much, real
There.
quick though, how much to this New England soft like Charmin schedule and them really not playing anybody. And I saw a number that I know we're not talking Drake May MVP. I don't know how you give Drake May the MVP when you see their opponents. I mean, this guy, half his touchdowns were thrown to last place teams of divisions. 14.7% of his touchdowns versus Jets backup quarterback teams. I digress. But anything where at all, just food for thought. Harbaugh toughness, trenches somehow, grind it out like 13-10 Chargers in a sick fashion where just May goes against an unbelievable Jesse Minter defense.
Sure, any quarterback making his first playoff start is at any risk of just imploding. Like that's just evident. That's just always that's as always has a possibility of happening for every single rookie quarterback, no matter how good that first year was. Once you get to the postseason, they have an opportunity, they have that chance to implode. I just think the way that Vrabel and McDaniel have been calling these games, that won't happen to Drake May. Now, you've been on this Pittsburgh Steelers for the longest time. They snuck into the playoffs by Tyler Loop's pinky toe. If he had clipped his toenails, the Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting at home. Instead, Tomlin is pounding his chest and kissing the camera. Aaron Rodgers doing victory laps. Tell me how this team, first of all, beats the Houston Texans, because I know you have them winning.
Yeah, they win it in classic Monday night. Look at the history since the 90s, Pittsburgh Steeler primetime fashion, my friend, in a number of unbelievably classic Pittsburgh ways. Hayward is all the way back. And if you caught on the bottom of NBC Sunday night, PFF ranks number one. Number one.
It's
If
incredible.
Cam Hayward plays to his position that PFF has him ranked, and TJ Watt plays at TJ Watt level, and Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't have a blemish on the turnover side of things, my friend, since 2 months ago, that is how they win the game. A defense on defense dance. They have the better quarterback in a best of one. CJ Stroud, perfect example, going against a similar structured team in the Chargers just a week or two ago. In a huge, massive game where the Chargers are still going for an AFC West divisional title, CJ Stroud goes over the top, Martin. They go up 14-0. I believe he was held to a field goal since that moment the rest of the game. It's just trust issues for me with CJ Stroud on the road in a ruckus environment with a team that gets their number one offensive asset back, not named Aaron Rodgers. And to me, again, a place that's very difficult to go in and win. I don't think Houston is built for a run. They're happy to be here. Whereas, again, so much pressure, Martin, to your narrative, which is spot on because you got it. That's pretty much record-wise, maybe off by a game because I think they won 10 games at 10-7. But here they are, Tomlin, rah-rah spot. Are they going to be one and done again? Or how much does this mean to Aaron Rodgers and Tomlin to win one playoff game and be in the best of four? That's what I'm banking on. They get the win.
I'm with you, actually. I think that Pittsburgh does win. I think because ultimately Houston's strength is their defensive line 100%, and Rodgers gets the ball out quick. And we'll see him get the ball out quick. Pittsburgh will have 3 drives where they move the ball consistently, and one of them will be in the fourth quarter, and that's how they win this game, 21-17. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see another. Like, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a slop fest, and it's like it definitely does not deserve prime time. But that's where we're going to
So
be.
so are we almost, except for our Jacksonville Buffalo, we almost in agreement? Because I have next week I got Buffalo to Denver, and I got New England hosting Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're going to split in terms of our agreement. Let's see if we agree here, because I think that the 49ers are going to send the Eagles packing.
No shot, my friend. It is the Eagles to the Niners are what the Niners are to the
To the
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
It's straight kryptonite. I just what we saw this past week where they wear these incredibly intimidating black home uniforms only to throw up a field goal. Dude, they're number one, and if you just are a fantasy football casual fan, people don't realize, and I was on the wrong side and it was on me. When Trent Williams did not suit up against the Seahawks,
Yeah.
that shows you who they are without this man. So I don't know where we're at with him health wise going into this work week. Dude, they have gotten through so much to get to this spot. We have to take a step back and remind ourselves Jalen Hurts at home in like his last 22, 25 games has lost 2 or 3 times. He's very difficult to pack in at home. He just is. I just think they find a way to play menacing Philly D to keep them in it the whole game. It could be Saquon bust one. It could be Jalen finds a way to do his game management thing. This is where Jalen earns his stripes. His game management ability, his ability to read the moment, read the room. That's his situational awareness. I think he's a top three, arguably, in this tournament quarterback when it comes to that. They're a tough out, dude. I mean, do we sit here and say San Francisco, several dudes injured, can go into a place like that if they play Philly football and win? It's a tall order, man. Really tough order because I was
Oh,
rooting for San Francisco to get that one seed.
I think San Francisco can play Philly football and win. Obviously, I'd give Philly the edge, right? If you want to play that type of game. However, I don't think the Eagles can play the 49ers game. I think what happened last week against Seattle is much more of a story about how damn good Seattle's defense is when this 49ers offense was putting up 27 plus on every single team like that they walked into before playing the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are a cut above everyone else in the NFC. So when I see that, it doesn't necessarily scare me like that. Eagles defense really really good. I expect Trent Williams to play first off. And I think that the 49ers, if they can get to 24 points, will win this game. That's kind of the way I chalk it. If it's anything under 24 for them, it will be a loss. But if they can get over 24, I don't see Philly getting to that 27 mark.
Well, then let's keep talking because if you have a little bit of an upset mindset here, does that continue to Bears Packers if we're going there next? Because I love me some Chicago Bears at home.
So this is the one I'm the most conflicted on. I want to take the Packers. I want to take the Packers. Like my instinct and gut as like a gambler is telling me to take the Packers as like the Bears defense is kind of turnover dependent. You know, the Bears offense, they haven't looked good the last 2 weeks. But I just think I'm looking at the head coach quarterback combo. I think the Bears got the better combo. I'm looking at the rosters, especially on the like offensive weapons. I think the Bears have better offensive weapons, and I think the Bears running game, if they're able to run the ball against the Packers, they'll win it because they can maintain the clock. You know what I'm saying? And keep it open for Caleb Williams to hit those home runs. If Caleb's got to hit a bunch of like singles and doubles, it's going to be tough for the Bears to win that game. I just think he'll be able to hit his home runs.
Yeah, this is that. It sounds like you're doing the head heart thing. It's tough because, nothing really about the Chicago Bears makes sense on paper. They're almost outscored in points for versus points against, yet they're the number one team far and away in turnover differential. Yet Caleb's bottom 10 in a lot of statistics, yet they're winning games and pulling rabbits out of hats every month of the season. Even down the last week, man, where they're down 16-0, they're getting 13 and a half live on the spread, and they tie it in the blink of an eye. I mean, they're magical just as much as they're mysterious. The question on the other side that I think is worth is talking out, we know Mike is not in this thing, and we know Jordan Love, Jacobs, and their number one asset, I feel, outside of Dobbs maybe, but I'd still give it to Watson, they're all banged up. Sure, they're
Mhm.
playing, they're all banged up. I mean, that's a tall order on the road against a divisional foe you're seeing for the third time, who again, Bears, how many losses do they have this season versus they're going to get slept 3 games in a row here to end their season? I find it hard to believe the season they had don't have a little more magic left in them here. And maybe, do I dare say, run the table, I wouldn't be shocked, and are in the NFC Championship. I got them over the Packers.
I think I have to look at the bracket to see about the NFC Championship, but I do forced today to make a pick. I would pick the Bears over the Packers, but more a lot to do with the infrastructure. I just think that they have a better infrastructure. Like Matt LaFleur is very lucky that playoff expansion happened the second year he started coaching, because otherwise he would be sitting at home like he would not have. I don't think they've only been the 7th seed in his tenure.